is attracting new businesses in the U.S., and that will grow the economy.
Fox's Jared Halpern. Democrats counter the Biden economy appears to have lost momentum since Trump took office. Los Angeles County Board of Supervisors approving a record-breaking $4 billion sexual abuse settlement involving 7,000 victims.
The cases date back to 1959, with most involving allegations of abuse at juvenile facilities and foster care homes.
Fox's Kristen Goodwin in L.A. America's listening to Fox News.
Your 710 KURV AccuWeather forecast. Mostly cloudy, warm and humid this evening, the low 76. Some sunshine for tomorrow, then turning cloudy, a breezy afternoon, high 90 to 95. Tomorrow night, mostly cloudy, humid, low 76. Variable cloudiness Friday, breezy with a high of 91. Cloudy, not as warm Saturday, a heavy morning shower, then a strong afternoon and evening thunderstorm, the high 81. I'm AccuWeather's Drew Shannon on the Valley's official weather station, 710 KURV.
This is your news, weather, and talk station. News Talk 710, KURV, and KURV.com.
News Talk 710, KURV.
KONDA. Happy Wednesday. You're listening to News Talk 710, KURV, your 956 drive home with Zach Cantu and the living legend, Davis Rankin. Better luck next time, Astros. They lost 7-4 to the Detroit Tigers, but they're going to take a break tomorrow, and they'll be back on Friday. 6:40 against the White Sox, first pitch. 6:40 on Friday. Your home for Astros baseball, made possible by Dr. T's Primary Care for Men and Women and Mission Economic Development Corporation. We now head to Ildefonso Poncho Ortiz at Breitbart, Texas, to hear the stories that you're not hearing south of the border. And let's talk about the turf war for a second. Poncho, what's the latest there? I know you have a new write-up there.
Well, it's going to sound horrible, but one, because currently Mexico has about 4 separate turf wars going on. None of them are good. And, but hey, things, no pasa nada, things are great. Come visit. Well, the most recent one took place, it's ongoing right now. It's taking place in the whole Baja California area, Baja, Los Cabos, that area where people love to go on the beach area over there. And it's an extension of the current turf war between Los Chapitos and Los Mayos, the sons of El Chapo Guzman versus the faction loyal to El Mayo Zambada, both from the Sinaloa cartel. It's not just taking place in Sinaloa, it now has moved over there. And it's led to quite a bit of violence. I mean, last week there were multiple targeted killings. They killed some law enforcement officials. Then they just went, full-blown terrorists they were torching basically passenger buses. People were taking the city bus to go to work and so forth. And they started basically going up to these buses, throwing containers full of some type of fuel and setting them on fire with the passengers inside. It basically got to the point where the U.S. Department of State had to issue out travel warnings, basically telling people, you really shouldn't go here, but if you do, just be very careful and, if shootouts take place, shelter in place.
Joining us on 710 KURV, Ildefonso Poncho Ortiz from Breitbart, Texas. We're talking about the stories that you don't hear. And Claudia Scheinbaum, that's her name, right? I keep getting her mixed up. I get the names mixed up sometimes. She hasn't exactly been putting her foot down and stopping any of this, correct?
Well, she claims she has. She claims, but it's because Mexico has been having a great PR campaign. Her security chief, Omar Garcia Harfuch, basically is a great PR guy. He actually says, we have made all these seizures. We have been catching these guys, but what they're really not telling you is that these are like mid-level guys that are easily replaceable. They're not real seizures. They just show up to the shootout and collect the weapons left behind, the armored vehicles left behind. They show up to these warehouses and, oh, look, somebody left a couple of kilos of drugs here. We seized them. That's the reality of it. Mexico's actively lying to the U.S. about what great job they're doing. And hopefully our government does not continue to believe them, but that's the reality of it. The problem is that Mexico is getting worse, the violence is getting worse, the turf wars are getting worse, and nothing's really changing.
You had a story about stolen oil. What was that? What happened there?
I mean, this is something that has been going on for a long time. The smuggling of fuel. Right now, we're starting to see it. One of the first few cases that actually goes into bigger quantities, and it has to do with this. For years, Mexico's cartels, they've been stealing fuel from Mexico's oil company, Pemex. It's a strategy. There's like actual fuel theft mafias that basically they steal this fuel, they sell it locally, they sell it to gas stations and so forth. However, it's gotten the higher quantities you get, and now we're talking about like thousands of barrels of oil, thousands of barrels of diesel, and so forth. Now you need to clean it, just like with drugs. So what they were doing is, this is a case that's ongoing, but basically this criminal organization was smuggling this stolen fuel into the U.S., claiming it as waste, oil waste. Then this U.S. company was basically selling it back to Mexico with other paperwork, so they were moving it back, and it was a way of, just like you launder money, these guys were laundering crude oil and fuel products. And this is tied to drug cartels, organized crime. And, one of the things, the interesting sides of this is that Mexico's ruling party, Morena, has a long history of using these individuals, on the Mexican side, people in this fuel theft business to fund their campaigns. The current governor of Tamaulipas, some of his closest allies are directly linked to a fuel mogul that was killed, I believe it was 2022. I may be wrong on the date. It may be off by a year or two, but it was around that time. They killed a fuel theft mogul in Monterrey, but that individual had been funding a lot of the political campaigns for the Morena party. So it's just an extension of the levels that organized crime reaches in Mexico, and this is just one of the branches on this side, if you can call it that.
Davis Rankin, your question for Ildefonso Poncho Ortiz at Breitbart. Go ahead.
Do you have any sense of how much of this going on in Mexico, including the financial things, that the American government knows, the spy agencies? Do we keep track of that? Do we know what they're doing?
I mean, well,
you'd have to have
in the past, the Mexico has been really good at concealing things from the U.S. How much of that, of the true story they know, or that, nowadays with the current administration, I'm not sure. But what I do know is that people in the current administration don't believe Mexico as quickly as other administrations did in the past. So they're taking everything with a grain of salt. Case in point is Omar Garcia Harfuch. She, on the surface, appears to be doing a great job, but in reality, it's not what it seems. And if you look at it, one of the cartels that they're not touching in Mexico right now at this point is Cartel Jalisco New Generation.
Well, they're the lead cartel now, aren't they? Aren't they the big dog?
Well, they're the second one still, just because of Sinaloa as a whole being bigger. But they're going to be the next big threat, and if they're not properly addressed, that's going to be the big dog in the next couple months or a year or so. Just because Sinaloa is likely going to get smacked down pretty hard right now, because the U.S. is focusing on them, on the Chapitos and the Mayos.
Poncho, I'm up against a break here, but I wanted to hear about this one. The 250 police officers from Coahuila that are on strike, are they still on strike? And has any retaliation been put out against them?
Well, yeah, the strike's still ongoing. They're trying to negotiate. Basically, these officers said that the city mayor was extorting them, demanding fees for them for certain privileges that were part of their job. That basically they had to pay regular fees to the mayor and the mayor's office. So they went on strike. Now, this is coming at a time when that city itself, Torreon, Coahuila, has seen a dramatic rise in crime. So these police officers go on strike. Basically the state police had to take over their duties, and there's no end as of yet to the strike. So Hopefully it'll get resolved. They're trying to talk it out. And, this particular mayor, I mean, he's already been called to testify before the state Congress as far as other issues within his administration. So, but this is one of the first times where we've heard of an entire police force basically just going on strike in recent years in Mexico.
I know, that's incredible. That stood out to me when I saw it. Hey, Pancho, thanks for stopping
Thank you.
by and telling us these stories from south of the border that you're not hearing about in the mainstream media. That's Ildefonso Poncho Ortiz from Breitbart, Texas, joining us on News Talk 710 KURV.
Later this evening after the 956 Drive Home with Zach and Davis. Stay tuned for the Michael Berry Show, starting at 6 on News Talk 710 KURV, KURV.com, and on the Radio Farney app. Your Houston Astros play here.
Left field. Good one. It's out of here.
Catch the action all season long on News Talk 710 KURV.
Deep to right field. And you can kiss it goodbye.
Don't miss the crack of the bat, the roar of the crowd. We'll bring you each weeknight and weekend game with pregame and postgame coverage and all the action in between. Powered by Dr. T's Primary Care for Men and Women, Mission Economic Development Corporation, and News Talk 710 KURV.
Securing America.
The Congressional Gold Medal has been awarded to the only Black female unit to serve in Europe during World War II, the 688th Central Postal Directory Battalion. They were sent to England and told to deal with a backlog of mail. Under the leadership of Lieutenant Colonel Charity Adams Early, they came up with a system and cleared out the backlog well ahead of schedule. Kansas Senator Jerry Moran said mail was the morale boost men on the front lines, like his father, relied upon.
Women returned home. There was no parade to greet them. No one lined the streets to thank them for their service. That ain't right. And we're trying to correct it today.
Charity Adams Early's son accepted the medal, and retired Colonel Edna Cummings, who wrote a book about the unit, spoke.
This history has now restored the passion for service, as evidenced by young girls who now dress up as members of the 688.
Only 2 women from the more than 800 who served in the battalion are still alive. Jessica Rosenthal, Fox News.
Rio Grande Valley's news, weather, and talk station. News Talk 710 KURV and KURV.com.
News Talk 710 KURV.
You're listening to News Talk 710 KURV, your 956 Drive Home. Zach Cantu, Davey Do, and you. Your home for Astros baseball. Taking a break tomorrow, and they'll be back up against the New York Yankees on Friday. Astros baseball made possible by Dr. T's Primary Care for Men and Women and Mission Economic Development Corporation. Where did I leave off on the audio soundboard here? Yes. The U.S. economy contracted slightly in the first quarter of 2025.
Gross domestic product, which measures the monetary value of goods and services produced during a certain time period, decreased in the United States during the first 3 months of the year by 0.3%, according to a report from the U.S. Commerce Department. The figure represents the first contraction in the U.S. economy in 3 years.
Economists had originally been predicting growth, but the outlooks were revised in reaction to the tariffs. Imports, which lowered GDP, grew more than 40% as companies rushed to get products on shore before tariffs take effect. ADP reporting that the U.S. added 62,000 jobs last month, well below the 125,000 that analysts had predicted. Now, here's what's interesting, is I heard, I can't remember who specifically, the Democrats had come out and said, oh, this is not the Joe Biden economy. This is the Trump economy. Do you remember what happened after the Obama administration? You remember the president after Obama, Davey? What that guy's name was?
Mr. Trump, wasn't it?
Correct. And when the economy was booming under Trump, you know what they said about that? Under Trump?
It was the leftovers from the Obama economy.
Those aren't Trump numbers. Those are Obama numbers. That's right. I did that. What about this did you do? That's what they were saying. It's this typical hot potato that they have between every administration where they argue over whose economy is it really.
Yep.
And I know what you're going to say. Well, they do that every time. Yes, I know. And it's been happening for as long as I can remember. but that doesn't make me any less fatigued by it. You're listening on News Talk 710 KURV, your 956 Drive Home.
Stay ahead of the game with News Talk 710 KURV. Follow us on LinkedIn. Exclusive news updates and in-depth audio and video interviews on topics that matter to you, your business, your industry. Follow us on LinkedIn and join a growing community of smart, savvy listeners like you. Network, connect, and never miss a beat from the Rio Grande Valley's trusted news source. Stay informed, stay connected, and stay ahead. It's time to take the conversation further. Follow News Talk 710 KURV on LinkedIn today. Tomorrow on the Brian Kilmeade Show.
Don't miss the next edition of the show as we talk about the latest with Trump team day 102. I believe the next 100 are going to be more exciting than the first 100. I want you to weigh in because Liz Clayman inside the business numbers and the chances of trade deals and Julian Epstein. Democrats looking to regroup. Do they go with the Whitmer model or the Pritzker model? I choose Whitmer. Don't miss a minute of the Brian Kilmeade Show.
Tomorrow afternoon starting at 2 on News Talk 710 KURV, KURV.com, and the Radio Potomac app. News at the top and bottom of the hour. We're News Talk 710 KURV.
Up to date, up to the minute, and kind of get the late breaking stories right away.
Tune in to get the latest news headlines and weather forecast at the top and bottom of the hour. Every hour. And when news breaks, we'll break in. Listen on air, online, and in crystal clear digital quality on your smart device. Keeping you informed and updated throughout your day and night. We're News Talk 710 KURV, KURV.com, and on the Radio Potomac app.
Hey, Rio Grande Valley fam. This is Dana Lash inviting you to join me tomorrow morning at 11. You all knew the man really didn't have a pulse. You all knew he was just a skin suit and Joe Biden had her hand up his backside. Come on, like a sock puppet. Is it too mean? I just don't even care. I'm just so done with this stuff. These people try to pull so much wool over our eyes. I just feel like all civility is out the window at this point.
Tune in for the Dana Lash Show tomorrow morning at 11 on News Talk 710 KURV, KURV.com, and on the Radio Potomac app. History's unfolding, and you're listening to it on News Talk 710 KURV, Edinburgh, McAllen, Harlingen, Brownsville.
This is a Fox News alert. They have a deal. I'm Lisa Lacera. The Treasury Department says the U.S. has signed off on a rare earth minerals deal with Ukraine that would guarantee assistance for Kyiv in its war with Russia. President Trump wants access to the minerals as a form of payment for the billions the U.S. has given to Ukraine. The Treasury Department says the agreement is a clear signal to Russia that the Trump administration is committed to a peace process centered on a free, sovereign, and prosperous Ukraine over the long term. A version of this deal led to the blow-up between President Trump and Ukraine's President Zelensky in the Oval Office earlier this year. President Trump says his predecessor is at fault for the shrinking gross domestic product at the start of the year.
The U.S. economy slowed in the first quarter of 2025, the GDP shrinking by 0.3 of a point, the Commerce Department says, the worst quarterly performance since 2022.
And I have to start off by saying that's Biden. That's not Trump.
The president says his tariff policy is attracting new businesses in the U.S., and that will grow the economy.
So it takes a little while to get those facilities built, but they're coming in with big numbers. They're all coming in with big numbers.
Imports, which count against the GDP calculation, surged last quarter, driven in large part by a pre-order of shipments before tariffs kick in.
Fox's Jared Halpern at the White House. Democrats say the blame lays squarely on the president.
This is not Joe Biden's economy, Donald. It is your economy. It is the Trump economy. It is a failed economy. And the American people know it.
House Democratic leader Hakeem Jeffries. Wall Street, the major indexes ended the day mixed. The Dow gained 141, the Nasdaq down 14, the S&P plus 8. A judge has released a Palestinian student activist who led protests against the war in Gaza. America's listening to Fox News.
Not everyone who handles your personal information is as careful as you are, which might explain why there's a victim of identity theft every 5 seconds in the United States. Fortunately, there's LifeLock. LifeLock will monitor hundreds of millions of data points a second for threats to your identity. And if your identity is stolen, a U.S.-based restoration specialist will fix it guaranteed or your money back. Save 40% your first year with my name, Clay, as your promo code at LifeLock.com. LifeLock, for the threats you can't control. Terms apply.
Still getting around to that fix on your car? You got this. On eBay, you'll find millions of parts guaranteed to fit. Doesn't matter if it's a major engine repair or your first time swapping your windshield wipers. eBay has that part you need, ready to click perfectly into place for changes big and small. Loud or quiet, find all the parts you need at prices you'll love. Guaranteed to fit every time. But you already know that. eBay. Things, people, love. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
The decision over whether taxpayer money can be used to fund religious charter schools in the U.S. is now in the hands of the Supreme Court.
The Oklahoma case could decide if religious charter schools can receive public funding, something Oklahoma statewide charter school board chair Brian Shellum supports.
Schools like St. Isidore cannot be excluded from Oklahoma's charter school program simply because of their faith.
He spoke outside the Supreme Court after arguments were heard, and so did Reverend Lori Walke, who opposes the idea.
As a pastor and as a person of faith, it is so important that we maintain the separation of church and state so that everyone can practice their freedom of conscience and the tenets of their faith as they see fit.
Justice Amy Coney Barrett recused herself from the case, meaning she won't hear arguments, deliberate, or vote. Tanya J. Powers, Fox News.
Attorneys for the state of Mississippi are appealing to the U.S. Supreme Court a federal court ruling that struck down the state's 5-day grace period for mail-in absentee ballots to arrive after Election Day. The Republican National Committee, the State Republican Party, and the Libertarian Party of Mississippi had sued. The lawsuit does not impact state or local races. Google CEO defending the company on the witness stand at its antitrust trial.
The U.S. government is seeking an order to force Google to sell its Chrome browser and to take other steps to boost competition in the search business. Google CEO Sundar Pichai said on the stand Google spends billions on research and development and cybersecurity. He believes changes to its business could hurt the company and its customers. He also doesn't believe any other company could invest in Chrome's innovation and security the way Google has. The Department of Justice and a coalition of state attorneys general are pushing for changes to bring back competition, especially as generative artificial intelligence advances.
Fox's Jenny Casola. I'm Lisa Lacera. This is Fox News.
Your 710 KURV AccuWeather forecast. Mostly cloudy, warm and humid this evening, the low 76. Some sunshine for tomorrow, then turning cloudy, a breezy afternoon, high 90 to 95. Tomorrow night, mostly cloudy, humid, low 76. Variable cloudiness Friday, breezy with a high of 91. Cloudy, not as warm Saturday, a heavy morning shower, then a strong afternoon and evening thunderstorm, the high 81. I'm AccuWeather's Drew Shannon on the Valley's official weather station, 710 KURV.
Time is of the essence. I urge you to vote no on Proposition A, the venue arena. They claim tourists and ticket buyers will foot the bill, but that won't cover the cost. Change orders and overruns mean you'll pay with higher taxes. I urge you to vote no on Proposition A. After recent floods, our priority should be drainage, not an arena. Vote no on Proposition A. Our incomes are far below Texas's average. We can't afford more taxes. Did you know that San Antonio's Great Alamo Dome took decades just to make a small profit? This ad is paid by concerned local citizen Mauro Garza, and he says no new taxes for the venue. Vote no on Proposition A.
Paid for by Mauro Garza.
Active Liver is the easy way to get daily detox to keep you healthy and feeling your best. Find Active Liver at your local CVS or online at Amazon or newnordicusa.com.
Thank you, Donna, and thank you, Rio Grande Valley, for listening today to News Talk 710 KURV, the Valley's official home for Fox News Radio. From the KURV Broadcast Center, this is the 956 Drive Home.
All right, we're doing this. Put on your seatbelt, check your mirrors. Let's begin.
Buckle up and get ready to talk about today's headlines and topics important to you. Here's Zach Cantu and Davis Rankin.
Hey, happy Wednesday. You're listening to News Talk 710 KURV, your 956 drive home with Zach Cantu and the living legend Davis Rankin. We're talking about water today. The man running Hidalgo County Irrigation District number 2 will be joining us. It was a deal struck telling Mexico, hey, you owe us a lot of water. You need to start sending that in our direction. And sure enough, that's going to be happening soon. We'll get the details from Senny Hinojosa on that. Also, drones growing in popularity. What happens when it goes into a place it's not supposed to go? Like, I don't know, a military base? What should we do about that? We'll talk about that and more on your 956 Drive Home coming up next.
And now, important moments in news history.
President Washington, the sacred fire of liberty, is finally staked on the experiment entrusted to the hands of the American people. For our friends in the press, let me say, I did not actually hear George Washington say that.
This has been important moments in news history. Zach Cantu, 710 KURV.
This is a fraud alert. It is a crime in Texas for a person to solicit an accident victim for purposes of legal representation. If you have not requested the call or personal visit, report this crime to the Texas Rangers.
You know that payment that you send to the mortgage company every month for your house? You budget for it, and you've even got it memorized, that monthly payment. Now, imagine for a second that bill comes in next week, but it's hundreds more than usual. Crushed. You call everybody. You call your mom, the mortgage company, anybody to give you an answer about this obvious mistake. You're on the phone with the mortgage company, and they politely explain to you that your property taxes went up, so your payment went up, as if it's just a normal thing that happens. Well, it does happen all the time. And this is one of those rare cases where you can fight the tax man and win. The people that do this for you are called CAD Tax. CAD Tax will fight for your property taxes to get reduced. And if they can't, you pay nothing. Call CAD Tax now to get your property taxes lowered before your house payment goes up. CAD Tax does all the work and you save all the money. Call 631-SAVE.
CAD Tax, CAD Tax, CAD Tax, CAD Tax.
Our financial system is cracking under pressure. Your retirement is at risk. Take control now. Lear Capital is offering a free Sky High Silver Report and Precious Metal IRA Guide at BetterNestEgg.com. Don't leave your future to chance.
Broadcasting from the Valley's commercial and fleet headquarters studio at PayneAutoGroup.com. You're listening to News Talk 710 KURV.
You're listening to News Talk 710 KURV, your 956 drive home with Zach Cantu and the living legend Davis Rankin. Your home for Houston Astros baseball. And they were up against the Tigers, game number 3 earlier today. Astros, better luck next time. They're going to take a break tomorrow, and they'll be back at it again against the White Sox on the road tomorrow. First pitch, 6:40. Your home for Houston Astros baseball, News Talk 710 KURV. And that is made possible by Dr. T's Primary Care for Men and Women and Mission Economic Development Corporation. Officials blaming a Monday lockdown at Palmview High School on a student's wallet. La Jolla School District officials say a student pulled a large object from their pocket on Monday afternoon, prompting a report to school administrators. The campus was placed on lockdown, rightfully so, while a search was conducted. Now, remember, they didn't know it was a wallet at the time. It was just a large object. I don't know what it is. You know what it is? No, I don't know what it is. Okay, well, let's investigate. It could be ominous. You don't know. So the campus was placed on lockdown while the search was conducted. Officials determined later that the student was carrying a large wallet, lifting the lockdown about an hour after it started. The school district released a statement yesterday saying all reported threats are taken seriously to protect the students and the staff members. All I'm thinking is how fancy is the snack bar at that school that you need a wallet that big on campus? That's what I'm thinking about. Or do they have like pizza there? You know, is it one of those that you can buy the lunch from the snack bar rather than the cafeteria food?
What they don't tell us is who saw it, how far away were they? A gun doesn't look like a wallet, nor a wallet a gun. I'm not picking.
You don't know that. You don't know that. The way you would imagine
how far away were they will tell you.
You're
what they
thinking
saw.
like a dude's wallet. You're thinking like one of those, like a square wallet. If this was one of the longer ones, like the rectangular ones, you know what I'm talking about? Like a pocketbook, right?
I got this one.
Oh Lord, that's the weapon right there. It's huge. That thing's huge. You and your white privilege. Look
I
at
want
you.
to get rid of it. It's a Gucci wallet. I don't know
It's
where
a
I got
Gucci wallet. It holds all my white privilege. That's for sure, and it's mighty fat.
You get white privilege
So
too.
listen.
T-
So look.
They don't
I know
even-
you
they don't-
can't.
people
I
don't
know
know
you
you.
can't see me do this, but here I'm about to do this. Let me borrow your wallet for a second.
Don't drop the
So
money out.
if I have your wallet,
Uh-huh.
right, and I'm putting it into my back pocket, if I hold it a certain way,
Oh, I see. Yeah.
if I hold it a certain way, it looks like a gun.
You're going for your gun.
Because
Yeah.
yes, you see.
Because the real gangster's going to put it the small of their back, because that's what they do in the movies.
Yeah, so if it's one of those, if it's a big rectangular wallet like that one, putting it into your back pocket, yeah, it looks like you're motioning that you're trying to conceal a weapon.
I got a fat stack
So
in here
rightfully
too.
so, yeah. Now, I mean, now the security guys have a funny story to kick around, behind the scenes later. Hey, remember that time that some kid had a huge wallet and we thought it was a gun?
The thing they didn't throw down on him.
But you want to be safer than you want to be sorry, right? You want to lock down
I'm not picking at them. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
How far away were they? And all the parents are going, yes, that's great. No foul, no harm, no foul. Great that they did that. They responded that way. But I don't know. You carry a wallet? You carry a wallet? I don't even notice.
I carry the smallest, thinnest wallet I can possibly carry.
My dad
It
carried one
fits-
that was about
it
3
fits
inches
like
thick.
3 cards maybe, and that's it. My ID, my debit card, and my insurance card. That's it.
You don't carry
That's
cash?
all I carry with me. I don't carry cash. I don't deal with that.
Joe, my father.
I hate having stuff in my pockets, first off. I carry a sling bag with me. I hate having stuff in my pockets because it screws with the pant sizes. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Because if you have something in your pockets, okay, that makes your pants tighter, and I don't like having tight pants.
I don't either. But it can also, if you carry a big fat wallet, not a long one like this, but like my father had, or what they call a bifold, it can over time can mash on the nerve that goes down the back of your rear end.
I've heard that. Sitting on your wallet, it misaligns your hips.
Can.
And that's bad too.
But you'd think that sitting on that big thing, which my father's wallet was enormous. I don't see how you do that over time. It's going to get so uncomfortable you would not do that. And then on the other pocket, he had a handkerchief. And he would get it out and he would blow his nose, and it wasn't folded or anything. He'd blow it up, he'd blow his nose, and he'd wad it back up and stick it in his pocket again. And then the next time he had to blow his nose, he'd get it out, all wadded up. Now, I'm saying it this way so you can get a picture in your mind.
He has to find the clean spot next time.
I
Yeah.
don't know that he was that finicky about finding a
Oh,
clean
man.
spot, but I never did.
You know how in the old days they would say you would take the handkerchief out and you would place it over like a puddle or something so
Mhm.
that a woman could step on it. Can you can you imagine taking that dingy thing out in front of a lady?
Oh look,
no way. City of FAR will help fund a high school dedicated to adult education. The city announced the donation of $1 million to the Possible Dream Foundation yesterday. They plan to open its adult high school later this year at the former FAR Events Center. The school will accept students between 18 and 50 years old and will focus on helping adults get their high school diplomas. The Texas economy, 8th largest on the planet, not in the nation, the planet, topping Russia, Canada, and Italy. The state's GDP is $2.7 trillion, trailing only California among U.S. states and making up 9% of the nation's GDP. As of 2024, the largest industries by revenue in Texas were oil and gas related, followed by electronics, automotive, hospitals, real estate, and commercial banking. Governor Greg Abbott's office says Texas has been leading the state for imports since 2001, shipping out 22% of all Texas exports. Drones are getting cheaper and easier to fly, which has led to a growing number of incidents where they're buzzing above military bases. Congress looking to tighten the rules on the no-fly zone.
We're spending $100 billion roughly on defense, and we can't shoot a drone down. It's just a frustrating experience.
Texas Congressman Michael Cloud says it feels like the federal government has been ignoring the problem. You remember the Biden administration? Yeah, they didn't do much about that. Investments are going to the fighter jets, he says, when they should be going to counter drone.
How much does it
technology.
cost to put up counter drone measures or to get a redneck with a deer rifle out there and take care of it? I
think
phrased it that way.
I think it depends on the drone. Actually, I don't know how durable the drones are, but I don't know. They talk about nets.
Let's find out.
Sometimes, because you don't want because if there's a drone flying above you and you don't know anything about the nature of the drone, you don't want to completely just destroy it. You want to capture it and figure out who's behind it.
Can't they jam the electronic signal that's motivating it?
That might be the future. That might be drone technology in the future, like some sort of controllable EMP shockwave that you can fire in a general direction. I don't know.
Electromagnetic pulse.
Yeah, and that disables electronics. I don't know, but they should be looking into it is the point. Counter drone technology. Because it's like if you had a deer rifle and you fired it at a drone, I mean, you're going to be picking up crumbs. You know what I mean? Like you want to at least know, well, who is the perpetrator? Where did this thing come from? Why is it there? Why was it there?
It's all about shot placement.
You're listening to News Talk 710 KURV, your 956 drive home. Coming up next, it's a new agreement to send more water to our community along the southern border. And Sunny Hinojosa from Irrigation District Number 2 will be becoming our water advocate. That's up next on 710 KURV.
We're the Rio Grande Valley's home for Houston Astros baseball. We're News Talk 710 KURV.
This is a story of the one. As a maintenance specialist for university housing, he knows college students can major in wear and tear. Plus, housing so many students doesn't leave a lot of room to house all the supplies he needs. That's where Grainger comes in. With over 1 million industrial-grade products and fast, dependable delivery, Grainger carries the quality products he needs so he doesn't have to. From a new door hinge to a whole new faucet. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Pain management specialist Dr. Dennis Slavin on joint pain.
Our website is feelingbetteratLast.com because that's what people say as they leave my office. They really are feeling better at last. Hi, I'm Dr. Dennis Slavin with some sound advice on achy joints. You need to get your walk in or hit the golf course, or with every step you take, it hurts. Oftentimes I hear from patients, my knees hurt and I can't do what I want. I don't want surgery and I don't get adequate pain relief with pain medication. They feel stuck with their knee pain. There is another option besides surgery or pain meds. Sodium hyaluronate treatments. The way it describes this treatment to patients is like it's WD-40 for the knee. The sodium hyaluronate is a natural lubricant that also stimulates your knee joint to produce its own lubricant, and when precisely injected with ultrasound guidance, provides superb pain relief.
With offices in McAllen and Weslaco, Dr. Dennis Slavin is only a phone call away, and many say it's the best call they've ever made. Call 956-973-0565. 973-0565.
Give your liver the support it needs with Active Liver. Go to nordicUSA.com, Amazon, or ask for Active Liver at your local CVS. New you, new Nordic.
Audio streaming on KURV.com. Powered by South Texas Buick GMC. McAllen Mission.
You're listening to News Talk 710 KURV KONDA. Happy Wednesday. We're at the end of Wednesday, right in the middle of the week. Weekend will be here before you know it. I blinked and it was Wednesday, Davey. Remember?
Yeah.
Remember it was Monday and we're like, what are we going to do this week? And now it's Wednesday and I'm thinking, oh man, we're not going to have time to do anything this week.
Yeah, where y'all going for Christmas this year?
Yeah, I know, right? It's just around the corner. We are your home for Houston Astros baseball, and they're up against the White Sox on Friday. They're going to take a break tomorrow. Astros baseball on 710 KURV is made possible by Dr. T's Primary Care for Men and Women and Mission Economic Development Corporation. It was a new agreement to bring more water to South Texas. They're going to deliver it right to the reservoirs, too, thankfully. Joining us on 710 KURV, our water advocate for our area, Sunny Hinojosa, joins us now. So what does the agreement say, Sonny?
Well, good afternoon, Zach and Davis.
Good afternoon.
The agreement kind of lays out a plan for Mexico to deliver some water to the U.S. And it calls for an immediate transfer of 56,750 acre feet, and that'll be done supposedly at Amistad Reservoir, just change the ownership from Mexican water to U.S. water. And they're also going to assign a portion of their tributary inflow. You know, right now the treaty states the U.S. gets 1/3 of the tributary inflow from those 6 tributaries. And of course, Mexico gets 2/3. Well, Mexico was assigning 50% to the United States of those tributary inflows. And then also on the table is offer some more water from the Rio San Juan, which we have been diverting for the last couple of months. And then a schedule to deliver a specified amount for the, by month for the next several months, I think from July to October, if Mexico receives their normal rainfall. So even with well, first of all, we haven't received official notification, of the transfer yet. We have to receive that from the IBWC, the International Boundary and Water Commission. Then we'll know it's in our hands, and then the 50% tributary inflow, well, that will occur, if and when rains occur within those tributaries. And even with this gesture or this plan, Mexico still will not fulfill the entire delivery for this 5-year cycle unless we have some kind of tropical system that bails them out. But, in the best case scenario, I should say best case, in an average case scenario, they'd still be over like 800,000 acre feet deficit if October 25th comes around and Mexico doesn't, if there's no tropical system. So they'll still be about 2.5 years behind in their deliveries, but at least to provide some water for the near future that our farmers, if we get into our accounts, they can count on it for, next spring's planting. Right now, if we get that transfer, it'll help our vegetable growers and citrus, of course. And if we can get, that assignment of the 50%, then and we can store that water until next spring, then it can benefit our row crop farmers.
Joining us on 710 KURV is our water advocate for our area, Sonny Hinojosa. This is, I'm being half cynical when I ask this, but when Mexico finally comes by to deliver the water, like how do we know that they're giving us good water?
Good water meaning volume or quality?
Like I said, I'm being half cynical about it. Like, how do we know that we're not getting like discarded water from a project or tainted water in some way?
And we could. I mean, we have no control over the quality of the water. If it comes from those 6 tributaries, it's normally, very good water. It's water down here. A lot of times Mexico will give us, return flows from their irrigation from the Rio San Juan. And, that water, it's used water, it's high in chlorides. We're hoping that's not the case. That's why we're a little pleased that this water will be transferred in Amistad and also, some of that tributary inflow from those 6 tributaries. So that's what we're hoping for. I mean, I'm skeptical as well. I won't believe it until I see it. We haven't received official notice. And then we're taking Mexico's word for it that they'll continue to deliver on a monthly basis, but it's all based on their rainfall. And, we saw something similar back in 2001, 2002, where, our State Department and IBWC executed minutes to the treaty, stating that Mexico is going to deliver certain volumes based on rainfall, and it didn't happen. And, there was no penalty back then, and there may not be this time, but I think this administration that's in place probably, has a bigger hammer if Mexico doesn't comply.
Sonny, this is Davis Rankin. Over the years, and I'm going to be imprecise because that's all I can remember, it was said that some states, I want to say Coahuila and other states further in the interior, had seen a surge in foreign-owned or American-owned farms that were raising water-intensive crops, and that was one reason why we couldn't get water. Can you tell us what you know about it?
Yeah, in Chihuahua, and yes, they are American companies that are down there and producing crops. So yes, it's not. It's in Mexico, but there a lot of the users are American farmers, American companies.
And they have the political clout to make sure the water doesn't come this way, that it stays over there. Well, we don't
Somebody
really know,
has
do we?
clout.
Say again?
No. No, we
You're
don't.
you're starting to cut out, Sonny. I'm sorry. Could you say that one more time?
I was just confirming that yes, there are American companies, and basically in Chihuahua. I don't know about Coahuila, but Chihuahua there are. That's the biggest tributary, the Rio Conchos, that comes through Chihuahua, and there's a lot of farming that occurs within that state.
Sonny Hinojosa is our water advocate, joining us on 710 KURV. We're talking about a new agreement between the U.S. and Mexico to get some of that much-needed water back into the U.S., into our reservoirs, the way we need it. When they do that, they take a bunch of trucks, right? That's how it goes down?
No.
Or how does it go? How does it work?
Oh, the water's in storage already. It just changes ownership.
Oh, okay. So those calculations, when we go to when we ask for the water calculations, that's already Mexico's share factored out.
Mexico has 268,000 acre feet in storage in Amistad and Falcon, where they're going to assign 56,750 acre feet of those of that storage to the United States, and hopefully that happens very soon. And if that happens, right now we're basically in the May reporting period. We'll see that water around mid-June in our accounts, in our water right accounts.
I was going to say, let's get a watch party when they deliver. Let's just sit there, some lawn chairs and some pizza, and just watch the whole thing go down. Go ahead. Before we go, Davey, go ahead.
The International Boundary and Water Commission is the binational organization that takes care of all this, half Mexican, half American. And the person in charge, I can't remember the name, commissioner, I think. Anyway, the woman who was in charge, I heard very good things about, but she was forced to resign, or what do you know about that?
Well, yeah, Dr. Giner resigned, and that's pretty normal when the administration changes.
Okay.
So she was a Biden appointee, so now President Trump is appointing his person. And I believe his name is McIntosh. He comes from the EPA. He hasn't been down here yet. He just, I think, was appointed a week or two ago. So yes, we have a new IBWC commissioner, and one of their responsibilities is the water accounting between both countries.
What do you think your farmer friends are going to think of him?
That's not. It's.
I
You don't
don't
have to
know.
answer that, Sonny. You don't have to answer that.
Don't answer that question.
Davis is just being Davis.
We enjoyed working with Dr. Giner. She was so accessible. I mean, in 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, she would answer her phone.
Wow.
And she had no problem, talking to us. That's the first commissioner I've ever experienced, and I've been doing this for 39 years. That's the first commissioner that's always been so open and so transparent. But yeah, we're going to miss her. I don't know anything about the new commissioner.
So one more time, when does the agreement supposed to take place, and when does that ownership change hands?
Good question. That's what we're waiting for. This agreement was struck yesterday, April 29th. And once again, it's an immediate transfer. We don't know when immediate is. So we'll have to receive notification from the International Boundary and Water Commission of when that occurred. Now, 56,750 acre feet, that's not a whole lot of water. That's about, 4 weeks worth of use right now. But it's a step in the right direction. They've got a plan laid out for future deliveries. And of course, it's based on rainfall. Once again, if Mexico doesn't get the rainfall, then they're not going to deliver. But that's the best we can hope for at this point in time.
Well, you know what? Tell you what. Why don't we have a viewing party out there anyway? We just have a little cookout out there and just enjoy the view out there. Thanks a lot, Sonny. Appreciate it. Thanks for stopping by.
Sure.
Sonny Hinojosa, our water advocate for our area here. You're listening to News Talk 710 KURV.
This is your Financial Planning Minute. I'm Dave Barnes, Certified Financial Planner with Ameriprise Financial in McAllen. What would happen if you were sick or injured and unable to take care of yourself? Or
Listen to Sergio Sanchez every morning on News Talk 710 KURV and on the Radio Parami app. Stay informed with exclusive interviews from top local and state leaders, plus economic development news, business, and medical reports, and all the local news from the RGV. It's everything you need to know to start your day right. Sergio Sanchez and News Talk 710 KURV on the free radio.